The trailer opens with an establishing shot at the Florida Keys, or in this game, the Leonida Keys. Rockstar describes this area as a tropical archipelago, which isn't flashy, but it's easy, and says you're right on the doorstep of some of the most beautiful and dangerous waters of America. In the back, we can see a blimp, which could possibly be flying around to kind of spot like drug dealers coming in. And if you look closely, you can see what I think says Brian's Marina, which might be a little bit more interesting later when we're introduced to a Brian. Next, we get to see the house that Jason is working on and fixing the roof. You can see an iguana scampering in the bottom left. You can see a basketball hoop there just above his car, where he might actually want to play some basketball from time to time. But in the next shot, we are introduced to Brian, who we discover has been letting Jason live there rent-free for the last while. Rockstar has described Brian as a classic drug runner from the golden age of smuggling in the Keys. He is still moving product through his boatyard with his third wife, Laurie. Brian has been around long enough to let others do his dirty work, and I'm pretty sure it's Jason and Cal, who we'll meet later, who are doing the dirty work for him now. But isn't it so cool when you go back to see his introduction that you can kind of see the sand and dust getting kicked up on his sandals as he walks towards Jason. And in the next shot, you see another amazing detail as the ladder just rocks a little bit as Jason gets his footing to go down it. I mean, that's just incredible attention to detail. Brian kind of confirms that he is letting Jason here for free, and he wants him to go pick up some checks that people owe him, and it is implied to have a somewhat personal relationship as well as business. What I love here though is that you can clearly see a raccoon rummaging inside the bins behind Brian. I love that detail, and I can't wait to see like animals just doing crazy stuff like this. We see this in more shots later, but the jewelry kind of moves as the character moves, and it just looks so natural there when Jason turns. And just like the textures with the sweat, the chest hair, the facial hair, it all looks like an incredible attention to detail, which we see in all of the characters throughout this trailer. Rockstar is really outdoing themselves with this. We also get a glimpse here at the ray tracing, and you can see Jason's reflection in the window panes in the house as he walks towards it, and it just looks incredible. The next little section that we get here is kind of like an introduction to Jason a little bit. We kind of get him to see him going about his day. Rockstar gave us a little bit more information on their website about Jason, and here we learn that Jason just wants an easy life, but things just keep getting harder for him. He grew up around grifters and crooks, and after a stint in the army trying to shake off his troubled teens, he found himself in the Keys doing what he knows best, which is working for local drug runners. So again, Rockstar kind of stitched together this kind of montage that kind of looks like it's Jason's day, but it does seem like it's happening at different times throughout the game, and it's just used to kind of give you a sense of who this character is and how he's perceived in the world. While he's driving, he gets hollered by this lady in the pink holding a chihuahua, and you can clearly see there is paw prints going up her pink car, which kind of gives an interesting idea of what the kind of customization might be in this game. Next, we see him shaking down a local shop, probably to pick up some checks for Brian. Not sure if this is a protection racket or is just a dealer like selling out of this shop that still owes Brian some money, but there is a bunch of detail in this shop, and I really do love the facial expressions that the characters have in this. A huge amount of detail in their expressions. And here the guy clearly after getting a beating in the background just watching Jason take the money from the till. And I love how you can kind of see the cash register move when it's hit. You can see it rock when the drawer's being pulled out, and you can see the change just rattling around inside in the drawer. That's why do you need this level of detail? Like, Rockstar is just outdoing themselves with this. Next, we get a shot of him just driving down the highway, and you can see that there are NPCs just chilling out in the back of the pickup, which is pretty cool. You can see that the left exit north is towards Vice City International Airport, as well as Ambrosia. Straight on is downtown, and then if he goes southwest, he'll be heading towards the south side and Peacock Bay. The plane flying overhead as well just really sets the scene, and it kind of just reminds me of when you first came to GTA Online. You kind of flew in over Los Santos on the plane, so it's giving me those kind of vibes. Next, we get a shot of Jason bench pressing, and he's bench pressing what I can see is like 100 kg, which is pretty impressive. You can see the weights are clearly color coded, so 10 kg is the green and the blue is 20 kg. And it does beg the question, will we be able to do stuff like this, like working out to get our character stronger in the game like you could do back in San Andreas? The next shot really blew me away. Not only are you walking through a shop that has so much detail going on it, from the guy getting lottery tickets on the left, and you can also see a cat licking itself on the right, and then when you walk past the lady, she kind of turns to even acknowledge that Jason is there, and you have the homeless person looking straight at Jason, hoping to get some change from him. But the thing that really blew me away here was it was the first time you got to see the new fluid system in the bottles, and you can clearly see the fluid like moving up and down in the bottle while he's just walking through the shop. You can also see that there is a different kind of panel on his front wing, and it does make me wonder why. I've seen other clips of vehicles that are like have a replacement wing, which is quite common in real life when you have a bit of damage and you have to just replace it temporarily until you can get it sprayed. But it does make me wonder, like, will there be crash repairs or something in this game? Next we get a clip of Jason driving down the street. You can see that there is a train up there to the top right. But the main focus here is the cops and their altercation with some of the people here. You can clearly see the guy getting pushed, and the animations on that are just perfect. But it does look like they are kind of investigating it and questioning people. One person getting searched up against the wall, but I'm kind of wondering, is this going to be kind of like a random event that's happening in the world while you're playing? You can also see that Jason's hair is longer now, so it does make you wonder, is there going to be hair growth like there is in Red Dead Redemption 2? But you'll obviously clearly be able to have different hairstyles and customize your character the way you want. In the next scene, we have an interaction between Jason and the prison officer where he's there to pick up Lucia. There's obviously a huge amount of detail around the back office, which is cool, but Rockstar was being intentionally vague when they said,
"I've seen you here before."
You might have.
I mean, might he have seen him there because he was visiting Lucia? Or was he a prisoner there himself? And I know some people are kind of claiming that maybe he was a cop, so maybe he was there for some reason because of that. Personally, I think he was either a convict himself or else he was there visiting Lucia. But another little thing that kind of blew my mind here was when the prison officer interacts with the keyboard. I mean, in most games, that keyboard is going to be set there and the motion capture actor would kind of work around that. But in this, he actually moves the keyboard. And I know that might seem like a small thing, but it really does make it feel like it's a living world. And I mean, it's so easy not to do that, and it's definitely going to be a lot more work to do that. So it's really amazing that they did that. Next, we get the scene where Jason is meeting Lucia after she gets out. I love the bounce on her hair as she just walks. It looks like there's a lot of attention put into that. And we can clearly see that there is an ankle monitor firmly attached to her leg, which is obviously going to dictate like how the game evolves as you play. Rockstar also gave us some extra details on Lucia Caminos. Basically, Lucia's father taught her to fight as soon as she could walk, and they say life has been coming at her swinging ever since. Fighting for her family is what landed her in Leonida Penitentiary, and sheer luck is what got her out. More than anything, Lucia wants the good life her mum has dreamed of since their days in Liberty City, but instead of half-baked fantasies, Lucia is prepared to take matters into her own hands. One thing you will notice actually from a lot of the clips as well as the screenshots that Rockstar gave us is you can often see her wearing this specific necklace which has a boxing glove on it. So it could have been a gift from her father, but it's something that she obviously cherishes as she wears it a lot. They clearly want to make up for lost time as soon as she gets out, but you can also see that ankle bracelet is still attached even during this. The next scene is clearly during a bank robbery. We know this because it says SNB Bank in the back, which is San Frontiera National Bank, and they've clearly triggered an alarm, which might be because they are getting help from this person, Raul Batista. I say this because they are wearing the same bandanas that they wore in the trailer in this shot here. Rockstar says that Raul has the confidence, charm, and cunning, and he's a seasoned bank robber, always on the hunt for talent, ready to take the risks that bring the biggest rewards. That said, they say that Raul's recklessness raises the stakes with every score, so sooner or later his crew will have to double down or pull their chips from the table. Judging by the weapons and the fact that you're hitting a bank, I'm guessing that this is going to be like mid or late game, where the rewards are big but the stakes are just as big also. We got another romance scene. There is a lot of them in this trailer, definitely trying to hit home the Bonnie and Clyde theme. We get Jason and Lucia just hanging out, having some beers, and the lighting here looks really good. I feel like the lighting in trailer 2 is far better than trailer 1, which is making me feel very optimistic for the extra year to let them cook on this. And again, we get to see the beer inside just sloshing around as the bottle gets moved, which is just really cool to look at. And I think the beer is called Bendejo, if I see that correctly. The next shot really is showing the environment again, and it looks incredible. The water looks fantastic also, and the light coming through the clouds just reminds me so much of Red Dead Redemption. Next, we got to see what looks like Jason and Cal loading on some drugs. More about Cal later. But they're doing this at Brian's boat, works and marina. And as I said at the start of the video, I think this is where Brian's marina is, so it's probably a cover for his drug running. But I really love the ambient lighting here. Like, even though it is pretty dark with their body facing us, it's still somewhat lit up and it's not totally black. It really does look incredible. Next, we get to see Lucia picking up trash in the supervision of a cop, and I'm guessing this is community service, which is what got her out early from prison. She's also wearing a baseball hat with Brian's logo on it, so she might have got that from Jason, or she also knows Brian pretty well. We can see the next shot, they seem to have a pet snake, which is pretty cool. And we do get the sense from what she says that she has got bigger dreams than staying in Leonida Keys. Next, we get a close-up on Cal, and we learned from Rockstar that Cal is Jason's friend and fellow associate of Brian's. Cal feels safest just hanging out at home, snooping on the Coast Guard comms with a few beers and some private browser tabs open. But I really feel like the next few scenes really just show the body movement, particularly in the female characters here. You can just see like a wobble of certain parts when they move, and Rockstar was clearly showcasing this with this shot right here. But it is pretty impressive, even the way the fabric of the dress moves with her as she walks. I'm pretty sure this is the same dress from trailer 1, but you can tell there's a big difference in the lighting here because it looks like there's so much more detail in the newer trailer. They seem to be going from that boat into the 99 nightclub in Vice City. And as you can see, there's a nice crowd just hanging out outside the nightclub, and the density and variety of the NPCs here is always just so impressive in this game. We also get more fuel for the fire that Jason is a cop. I don't think he is a cop, but he could very well be working with the cops. I think this scene here it looks so good. I mean, the skin textures, just the detail on the towel, the guy's afro in the back. I mean, this just looks unbelievably good. Like, the next scene, we have Lucia jumping down onto the ground, and I love the animation of when she lands. Like, it looks so realistic. But I think the next few scenes really do just kind of give us a kind of an idea for the plot. On the website, Rockstar says that Jason and Lucia have always known the deck is stacked against them, but when an easy score goes wrong, they find themselves on the darkest side of the sunniest place in America, in the middle of a criminal conspiracy stretching across the state of Leonida, forced to rely on each other more than ever if they want to make it out alive. And when you see her dropping down from outside that window, I think that could actually be the motel that they were in the first trailer. In the first trailer, we could clearly see them robbing a shop over in Port Gellhorn. And in this scene where we see them escaping the motel, followed by Brian saying that they got all of Jason's details, and then following in that it looks like they might be working with the cops. Of course, they could also just be putting all that together in a certain way to kind of mislead people so that they can, tell a certain story. In this scene, we can see clearly that Jason is almost hanging out the window to get the shot in. This shot, we get introduced to Bay Lux, who is an influencer along with her friend Roxy, aka Real Dimes. Rockstar tells us that these have been friends since high school, and they are girls that had the savvy to turn their time shaking down local dealers into cold, hard cash by spicy rap tracks and a relentless social media presence. They had an early hit single with a local rapper called Downplay, but 5 years have passed after a lot of trouble, and they've now signed with Only Raw Records, hoping lightning can strike for them twice. We get a little bit more grinding from Lucia and Jason, and then we're shown Jason slamming someone into a car. We know that this is up near Port Gellhorn, as we can clearly see the Starlit Motel in the background. And if you'd like to see more about all of the locations that we know of in GTA 6, I'll leave a link to that video below in the description, as well as at the end of this one. Next, we get to see Lucia fighting in what looks like an illegal cage fight. Really makes me think about what the difference in the playstyles will be between Lucia and Jason, and will you be able to learn new fighting styles as the game progresses. Next we see an incredible shot of Lucia using a grenade launcher taking out a cop car, and I don't think I've ever seen an explosion look this cool in a video game. Not only that though, but when you see the car explode, it pushes the car on the right just very easily away with the explosion, but the car on the left, which is the redefine, has a lot more weight to it, and the explosion isn't pushing that as much, but it's just such a cool little thing. Next we get a shot of Jason and Draquan reacting to something on a phone, and Rockstar did tell us a little bit about Draquan. Also, he started his own label and he has signed the Real Dimes. He used to work in a strip club as a DJ, but he wanted to be a bigger music player, so now he has his own label called Only Raw Records. Next we get a shot of Lucia getting jumped by a very muscular woman on a plane. It looks like there is like a fog over the city in the background, and I can't wait to have some hand-to-hand combat like while you're flying over Vice City. Next we have them driving away while dragging along a safe, and I love the sparks that are just flying across the road while it drags the safe across the road. And the truck seems to be really struggling to keep grip as well while it's getting pulled by the safe. And you can clearly see a reflection in the wing mirror as well that looks like Jason. And I feel like they're always splicing these romantic scenes just throughout the trailer, again to reinforce the Bonnie and Clyde theme. We then see them taking a selfie with their friend in the nightclub, which is probably the 99 nightclub. I'm pretty sure it's the friend because you can kind of see him here at the bar talking to their other friend. So they seem to have a little close-knit crew that they like to hang out with. Next we get a shot of the streets. You can see a load of people taking photos. You can see a guy there taking a group photo on the left. Then you can see a woman taking a photo of a girl posing out the back of a souped up car. It just feels like the streets really are alive and there's a lot going on with so much variety and things to see. And the nightlife looks like it'll be equally wild. I just love all the neon lights that are going to just drench all of Vice City. It's just going to look so good. And next we get a shot of a stripper inside the Jack of Hearts strip club, which you can see the logo on her chest there. But if you look closely on the dollar bill, you can see what looks like the president from Red Dead Redemption 2 on the bill. I didn't spot this myself. It was actually a Reddit user, CPH2001, that spotted it. But I thought it was really cool that I had to include it. Although he's not in the trailer, Rockstar does tell us about the owner of the Jack of Hearts strip club, and his name is Booby. He's a local legend and he does act like it. One of the few to transform his time in the streets into a legitimate empire, spanning real estate and a strip club and a recording studio. Booby's all smiles until it's time to talk business. Next we get a real good look at the ray tracing in this game. Not only can you see it on the reflection on the picture frame on the left, you can see it on the glass on the table in front of you. Also see Rockstar's version of the PlayStation 5 controller on the table, as well as a PlayStation 5-like console over there beside the TV. One of the coolest things here though is that there's two beers set out on the table. One is half empty, and that is probably because Jason's drinking it. You can see it looks a little flat. But the one on the right looks like it's just been popped open, probably for Lucia as she came home from work. And you can see the beads of sweat on the outside of it because it's just cold. But you can also see the bubbles in the beer itself as it's freshly opened. It is an incredible amount of detail to have on something so small. Lucia coming home from her community service work, and you can still see the ankle bracelet on her ankle. And this is a cool little feature here that when she gets on the chair, you can clearly see the cushion pushing down from her weight. That is an awesome little detail. Next we have a buzzard chasing down someone, and you can see there's a new machine gun mounted on the side that looks like it's Brian shooting. I wonder, are we going to have more kind of customization with helicopters and planes now as well in GTA 6? But you can clearly see it is Jason flying the helicopter chasing down the riverboat, which is leaving awesome trails in the water as it cuts through it. We can see these water effects again in good detail in the next shot as Jason and Lucia cut through it in the jet ski. Next we get a cool shot of Jason on his motorbike while a plane flies over him, which is possibly either Cal or Brian, and I like the way you see his head slightly duck a little bit as the plane passes over him. Next we see who I think is Lucia jumping from a motorbike onto a truck with a car in it. She might have blown the doors open because you can clearly see the alarm is on in the car. Next we get another shot of the two in a hotel. I have a feeling they'll be in a lot of hotel rooms as they're on the run from the cops. And here we can see Jason driving a boat while Lucia is trying to take off the helicopter. I love the bullet effects on the helicopter. There's a load going on in this shot as well. Look at the bullet effects of just scattering across the ground as they hit it. You can also see as he hits the brake on the bike that the weight shifts onto the front wheel and then it pushes back onto the back, so the suspension is working. You can also see the NPC just hanging out the window trying to get shots on you. There's just so much going on here. It looks action-packed and we only get to see a split second of the action. I can't wait to actually play a full chase on this thing. Next we have Jason jumping from a car onto another car while Lucia is driving, and it really makes me wonder how fluid the switching is going to be between playing as Jason and Lucia. And I know that hasn't been confirmed officially yet, but I just think it's the most natural thing for this kind of a game to kind of play like that. Next we have Cal, who is working at Brian's Miranda, working on a boat, it looks like, in the back, but he's clearly wearing a Brian's t-shirt. I find it funny that even though Brian is a drug smuggler, he's got his own branding for his private businesses, which I just not really staying low key. And then we get them driving off into the sunset with Lucia hanging out the window. And again, there's a panel that hasn't been finished sprayed. So I am wondering, is there going to be kind of junker cars that you can fix up and just spray like that? But there was so much in this trailer. I mean, we really were treated to nearly a 3-minute trailer with a bunch of little details and stuff, and telling us a lot of the story beats that we can kind of expect to happen and setting the tone for the game. It was really, really cool, but I'm sure I missed a bunch of stuff, and if I have, let me know in the comments what I've missed. I'd love to hear more stuff like that. And again, thanks to all the members, you guys are incredible. All right, people, catch you again.